Let's go ahead and cut to the crap, talk about this, and this one's going to be a long one. Fyodor Dostoevsky is credited with saying that you can judge the level of civilization in a society by entering its prisons. If that's the case, Houston, we have a problem, or at least what is perceived to be a problem. Anybody looking at the world through Dostoevsky's eyes would say that any population that is completely controlled by the government, what they say, what they eat, where they go, if they are being treated well, it's likely that the citizenry is also being treated well. But given several events that have happened over the last year, it's perfectly understandable how the public might reach the conclusion that prisons are nothing more than areas for unaliving people, making them conveniently disappear, and harvesting organs and bone marrow. The first event is that of Dexter Wade, an individual that went missing and was reported missing by his mother in March of 2023. Dexter was evidently hit by a police car, taken to a medical examiner. His identification was found in his pants, given to a detective, and the detective was charged with trying to get hold of the family. Now, the story, according to Dexter's family, is that they were never notified of his death. They thought he was still missing, and they later found out that he was tossed into a pauper's field outside of a jail with 215 other bodies in an unmarked grave. Now, the investigator himself says he did try to notify the family, was unable to, and dispose of the body according to procedure. However, this procedure, of course, has left the door open for certain perceptions to reveal themselves. And this is not the only instance where questions have been risen about how to deal with an inmate body. Out of Alabama, we have the case of an inmate's family who reports that they requested their loved one's body back following an in-custody death. And upon receiving the body, they found out it was returned with no heart. Now keep in mind, this is a preliminary accusation made by the family. There, of course, will be an investigation. We don't know if this is just a grift for money. Details oncoming. But what I did find very, very interesting is that if you go into the Alabama handbook for the prison, and if you go into the employee section of that, there is not a step-by-step procedure for a way to release the body and to document its disposition, its quality, prior to release from the prison. In contrast, if you go ahead and take a look at this section here for the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation's Department Operations Manual, here's the section that deals with inmate death, and you can see a proper breakdown of how you're going to deal with the body, who's going to notify the family, what are the follow-up times, who's going to coordinate with funeral homes to make sure there's no hanky-panky, all to avoid instances such as this. Now, I wish I could just throw this at the feet of policing agencies and prisons in general, but the politicians found a way to stick their nose in this crap pile as well. Back in February of 2023, a Massachusetts representative stepped forward and offered a new way to reduce prison sentencing times. Inmates could now donate organs and bone marrow in an effort to reduce their sentences by no less than 2 months and no more than 364 days. For one of the very few times in recent memory, inmates' rights groups and victims' families were able to agree on something. They both opposed the measure. Inmates' rights groups stepped forward and said, wait a minute, you're going to offer desperate individuals the ability to get out of jail sooner by donating bone marrow and organs? That's just not right. And victims' families stepped forward and said, wait a minute, these guys have victimized us and our families, and now you're going to let them out early because what? They decided to pony up a kidney? The representative decided to walk that back about 2 weeks later, but the damage had already been done. Now, I can hear the policing agencies already. Look, man, we have no say in the law directly, man. We just enforce it. That's on the politicians, not on us. The one group I did not mention that to oppose that measure was the Massachusetts Correctional Officers Federated Union. So now let's tie the perception of this together, looking at it through Dostoevsky's philosophy. Remember, you can judge the level of civilization in a society by looking at its prisons. And you've received reports that there is a large group of individuals being found outside of a jail, one of which was supposed to be notified to a family that claims they never got notification after it was hit by a cop car. A body's being returned with no heart, and there is a politician putting forward a measure to allow inmates to donate organs and bone marrow for reduced sentencing. Don't think you're getting too high of a civilization rating on that old society. In the defund the police era, where propaganda is prevalent, policies, procedures, and political pressures must be utilized to reduce these instances so we don't end up in a situation where they're utilized for political grandstanding, fundraising, and organization against our policing agencies. Events like these skew perception. Perception develops reality, and reality can bite you in the ass in a heartbeat. And I'll talk to you next time when we talk about another thing that I find interesting. I'm out.